have reached Red Steele's Lost Toy Collector Review. I'm your man, Red Steele, and today I'll be reviewing from SH Figure Arts, Luffy. SH Figure Arts, Luffy. But before I get to the actual review, I just want to go over some of the spectacular details on this packaging. Up front here, Tickle is showing you with the figure, novels, accessories inside. In the top corner here, you have the One Piece logo. Below that it says, Monkey D. Luffy, Romance Dawn. The other side of the packaging here, you have a picture of the actual figure. Then down there it says, SH Figure Arts, Monkey D. Luffy, Romance Dawn. Then over here, you have the TAMASHII Nation quality seal. Then over here you have the Toei Animation Certificate of License Grant. Next to that you have the TAMASHII Nation logo. In the corner here the Bandai insignia. At the top of the packaging here it says SH Figure Arts. SH Figure Arts is a standard action figure series that uses the art style and technology of TAMASHII Nation to pursue character expression through humanoid action. Then on the side of the packaging here, on the very top it says SH Figure Arts. Along the side here says Monkey D. Luffy, Romance Dawn. Down here you have a picture of the actual figure. And on the very bottom here, you have the One Piece logo. The other side of the packaging here, you have almost the exact same thing where you have SH Figure Arts. Over here you have a picture of the actual figure. On the very bottom here, you have Monkey D. Luffy, Romance Dawn. Then on the back of the packaging here, on the very top it says Monkey D. Luffy, Romance Dawn. Now here you have illustration of the figure in various poses. Then over here it says Super Action. Dynamic articulation enables recreations of iconic action figure sequences from the anime. Then over here it says Super Modeling. Masterfully crafted sculpt accurately depicts the character form and meticulous detail. Then down here it says this figure is compatible with face part and Monkey D. Luffy, the raid on Onigashima. Then over here you have SH Figure Arts, simple style and heroic action. Down here it says SH Figure Arts is a standard action figure series that uses the art style and technology of TAMASHII Nation to pursue character expression through humanoid action. Then down here you have the Bandai Namco logo. SH Figure Arts, Monkey D. Luffy, Romance Dawn. Luffy was released August 2024 with the suggested retail price of $34.99 and is available at select retailers. Luffy has multiple points of articulation and his accessories include 3 pairs of optional hands, 3 optional expressions, optional hair, and meat accessory. Luffy stands 6 inches tall and he is meant for fans ages 15 and up. I have Luffy on my display table, so we'll go over some of his play features and accessories. First of all, I talk about his optional hands. And he comes with 3 pairs of optional hands. First pair, you have open hands. The next pair here, you have one hand where he's pointing his finger, and the other hand here is close-fisted, just like default hand here, except the hand has a porthole for an accessory which we'll bring out later on. In the last pair, the 2 hands here have a claw motion going on, and these hand sculpts are so finely detailed. TAMASHII Nation goes above and beyond these hand sculpts because when you flip the hand over here, you have palm detail. Back of the fingers, you have little wrinkles where the fingers bend. Flip the hand over here, back of the hand detail. You have knuckle detail. Tip of the fingers here, you have fingernail detail. Very, very nicely done. Or to swap out these optional hands, you want to take the default hand here, you want to pull away from the wrist just like that. At the end of the wrist here, you have a little boss like a joint. Back of the hand here, you have boss like a port. And this is a different take than other action figure companies. Because action figure companies usually like to put the porthole at the end of the wrist and the peg at the back of the hand. I want to go ahead and grab the fist with the porthole because I want to go ahead and utilize that accessory in the next part of this review. Back of the hand here, like I mentioned earlier, you have a little porthole. You want to take that ball socket joint, push it right in that porthole to hear pop. You want to push it all the way in too. You want to make sure it's nice and secure. And the reason why TAMASHII Nation does that different take on the interchangeable hands or the optional hands is because in the ball socket joint you have a hinge joint that brings it in and out. But with the ball socket joint, you also have that swivel too that adds more options when you want to customize your poses for your figures on your display shelves, which is really nice done because it's very dynamic and you have so many different options, and there isn't really a range of motion that limits itself when it comes to these poses. But I'm going to take these optional hands and put them off to the side. Because the next accessory I want to bring in is his meat accessory. This meat accessory has lots of great detail here. You have this bite detail here. It's a pretty big bite, which means Luffy has a big mouth. You have some meat detail right there. And when you flip the meat over, you have the like, mold detail here that kind of gives it that texture that looks like meat. Top and the bottom of this meat accessory, you have the bone accessory. It's really cool. In order to put this in Luffy's hand here, you have this bottom bone right here, which is a little longer than the top bone. You want to untab it just like that. You want to take this bone accessory now, and you want to go put it in the bottom of his fist, just like that. You want to slide it through his fist. You want to go and take that meat accessory now, and you want to go ahead and peg it right back into place just like that. And now you have Luffy with this meat accessory in his hand. Very, very cool. The next accessory I want to bring in are his optional expressions. And the first optional expression here is one where he's opening his mouth. His pupils are a little bit different. And he even has a vein bulging from his forehead, which means this must be a power-up expression, where he's maybe powering up. And I'm not too well-versed in One Piece. I haven't watched One Piece in a very long time. But I'm sure he's getting very angry or psyched up in this expression. Next expression I want to bring in, which is an expression that kind of goes along with this meat accessory, because he's biting from a piece of meat. You got that piece of meat in his teeth right here. You have a bulge in his cheek. That means he's chewing on a piece of meat. Very, very cool. The final expression here is one where he's just smiling. Just a normal expression. Very, very cool. Or to swap out his expressions, you have this hairpiece in the front here. You want to go to this hairpiece and untab it just like that. You have this expression right here, his default expression. I'm going to take that expression and pull it out just like that. Back of that expression, let me go and fix his feet so it doesn't fall over. You have a little tab right there, and you have a porthole right there. On his hairpiece right here, you have that tab right there, and you have a couple portholes right there and right there. You want to go and grab his new expression here, and you flip it over. A couple pegs right there and right there, and you have that little porthole right there. You want to make sure all of it aligns perfectly, and you want to go ahead and peg it right into place just like that. You want to go and grab his hairpiece right here. In back of that hairpiece, you have two pegs right there and right there. On his forehead, you have a porthole right there and right there. You want to go and take that hairpiece now, and you want to peg it right back into place just like that. And now you have Luffy with his new expression, which is really cool because it goes along with his meat accessory because he's enjoying his meat. And he's got that big mouth there, so that kind of makes sense why he has that big bite into his meat. Very, very cool. I want to go take his expressions and put them off to the side. Because the next accessory I want to bring in is his optional hair. And this is very different because usually Tamashii Nation will just give you the optional expression because they don't want to mold an entire head because it's kind of keeps costs lower because this figure is priced at $34.99, which is very nice. Or to swap out this optional hair piece here, you want to do this whole head piece here, you want to unpeg it. You got to be very careful because default head here has another additional hair piece that goes around the collar of the neck, just like that. But you want to put these off to the side. And I lost my Luffy because Luffy is very lengthy. He has lots of points of articulation, so you gotta be very careful on how you pose him. And this piece of meat can make him topple over because it takes away his center of gravity. But you want to take this new hair piece here. At the bottom of this hair piece here, you have ball socket port. At the top of his neck here, you have ball socket joint. You want to go ahead and pop this right into place, just like that. You hear a little satisfying pop. I'm going to bring his meat down a little bit. The next accessory I want to bring in is his expression. I don't want to bring in his expression where he's smiling, he's grinning. Back at expression, like I mentioned earlier on, you have a couple of pegs right there and right there. You have a porthole right there. You want to make sure all that aligns perfectly, and you want to go and push that right into place just like that. So the next accessory you want to bring in is a hair accessory, but it's a little bit smaller than the other one. And that's because right here at the top of his head sculpt right here, you got a hat hair right here. And I'll go ahead and show you why I'm going to go ahead and change out his headpiece, because the final accessory is very important because this is trademark. I'm going to make sure this goes all the way in, just like that. Because the final accessory I want to bring in is his trademark hat. And that's that straw hat that you see him wearing in the animation. And back of his hat right here, you have a little tab right there. Looking back of his head sculpt, you have a little notch right there. Want to make sure this hat kind of goes right into place just like that. It goes right over the top of his head. Because the reason they had to do this additional head sculpt is when you go ahead and you grab this, I'm going to go ahead and put the head put together with the other default head. The hat does not rest on the default head too well because you get that head sculpt right there. But instead of having it sculpted like that where it kind of just rests on top of his head, and other action figure companies might be okay with that, but Tamashii Nation does not settle with that because they want it to be nice and they want your figures to be displayed as they appear in the anime or in the manga. So they went ahead and they sculpted a different headpiece so the hat goes right onto the head, and it's very nicely done because it does look like part of the sculpt when you look at it with the optional hairpiece. Very, very nicely done. But this figure is fantastic. Lots of points of articulation, lots of options. I mean, with the head right here, with the neck, you have ball socket joint in top and bottom, so you can kind of like swivel it all the way around just like that. And I know it looks a little creepy, but it's very cool. You can move the head around and the neck around. Very cool. And the shoulder here is double jointed. You mean the shoulder up or down, or all the way around. You have bicep swivel right there, double jointed elbow joint. And like I mentioned earlier on, you have that wrist articulation. We have the hinge joint, and you have that swivel joint. Very, very nicely done. You have stomach articulation, which is kind of on a ball socket joint. You can bring it all the way around. You have waist articulation, where it also has that swivel joint and a twist. You get hip articulation, which is very, very cool. Goes in and out all the way around. And there's something I noted earlier on, which is really cool. Earlier on, I was a little upset because I saw these big notches in the back of his pants. But I come to find out that there's a hinge joint that brings the fray down just like that. So if you want to display your figure standing up straight, you could have that fray all the way around his pants. Or if you have his knee bent, it pushes that fray into the pants just like that. It's very, very cool. But I did not know about that, and I did not know it popped out like that. Well, I'm going to put it right back into place. And it's very cool additional point of articulation. I did not realize that it had that until I was playing around with them, and I was a little upset that it had little notches, but I found out that this fray comes down just like that. Very, very cool. But he has lots of points of articulation. He has a double jointed knee right there. His ankle articulation. And the final point of articulation I want to talk about is really cool because he's got toe articulation. Not only that, but he's got sandals on. So if you want to go ahead and bend his ankle just like that, the sandal comes separated from the heel, which I think is very cool. And then even at the top of the sandal here, you got some mold detail here. But it's so nicely done. I mean, if you look at that, that's just fantastic. I mean, Tamashii Nation is just evolutionary when it comes to their points of articulation. They are so great. And I'm glad they're the ones that got the license to do a lot of these animes because, I mean, anime poses are very dynamic. And I mean, Tamashii Nation makes it very possible to accomplish a lot of those poses. But this figure is fantastic. But if you guys found any information in this review valuable, please like and share this video. Also, if you really enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel. And while you're there, click the bell to be notified of any future videos. I want to thank you guys for watching Red Steele's Toy Collector Review. I'll check you guys out next time.